Time to take a coding break. Howdy, coding pros, and welcome back to another episode of the Coding Break Podcast. I am your medical coding coach, Tam Talk, here to talk about all things the good, the bad, as well as the ugly and indifference as it pertains to the medical coding industry. So, if you are a fellow listener, you know I like to talk about what's going on in the medical coding industry, as well as answer questions as it relates to the medical coding industry. And it seems that the questions are in regards to is this a valuable or a feasible industry to be in? And can I almost guarantee that once an individual completes the medical coding training, will they be guaranteed a role? So I'm here to answer those questions. Again, like I said, it seems that, one, people are looking for careers or jobs, and they want to make sure before they invest money into these careers, the training for these careers and jobs, that they're almost guaranteed a role once they're finished. So I want to come on and honestly answer those questions for you. So one, again, as if you're not under a rock, you know that, the way that the economy is set up. So individuals are looking for, again, roles, primarily in the medical coding industry. They're looking to learn a new skill, right? They're looking to learn a new skill, but also not break the bank for learning a new skill. And that's where medical coding or healthcare coding comes into play. So I can understand, yes, and it's quick. So it depends on which program you join or attend, or you pursue your medical coding education with. I cannot speak to all of them because I don't follow, all of the medical coding programs available. I can only speak for mine. My program is maybe 14 weeks long. It's worth the cost. Like whether you pursue or guaranteed I would say a coding role, it's going to pay for itself. Your first pay should pay for itself, like the amount you paid to take the course or training. And I assume that would be with any other course that you take, medical coding course or training that you take. It will almost pay for itself, like once you secure or land your coding role. So to answer your question, is it a feasible career path? It is. There are opportunities out there, right? There are opportunities out there for medical coding. Now, I will go on record and say this, and I've always said this in my podcast episodes, that you don't always have to do day-to-day coding with your medical coding certification. You don't have to do day-to-day coding. You are allowed to pivot. And I find that many, and I get it, I understand that when you complete your training, that's the first thing that you want to do is do the day-to-day coding. But I'm telling you that you want to learn to pivot. Get that, but learn to pivot. And I say that because AI, artificial intelligence, is prevalent. It is in healthcare. It was always there. It's just now we're giving it a face and a name to it. Learn to collaborate, to coordinate with AI. AI is not taking the medical coding roles. It actually is helping on medical coders, and it is allowing medical coders who are currently credentialed to pivot into different roles. Perhaps they want to pursue, auditing, or pursue education, or whatever that role may be for them. AI is allowing the individual to pivot into those roles. Work in collaboration with you. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but again, as an AI is technology, you still have to go through a human when it comes to healthcare, because again, it's healthcare, right? This is like a basic need for individuals, for humans. So you want to make sure that patients are being diagnosed correctly. Although coders are not doctors, but you want to make sure that the diagnoses are based upon the documentation from the provider, that the codes are in alignment to what that provider has diagnosed that patient with, or the services or treatment that the doctor or healthcare clinician has recommended to treat that patient's illness. So you want to make sure that it's on the up and up. So with that being said, there are plenty of roles that an individual or medical coder can pursue as a medical coding professional. As far as guaranteeing the job, I cannot guarantee a job. I cannot predict if you're going to land a coding role as soon as you complete your certification. That is something I cannot guarantee that. I would be wrong, or I would be wrong if I were to say, you will automatically get a coding role, a paying coding role as a medical coder once you complete the course or complete a medical coding training program. I cannot promise you that. And I say that because it's really going to be on the individual holding the certification. Honestly, it is. There's this, I've heard plenty of people have said this, and me also being a college graduate, your success is going to depend on you as the individual. As you've seen, or as you may have heard, there are many of individuals who have pursued college education. They've received their degree and they're still trying to figure out, land a role in that particular career path with that degree or what have you. So it's going to be, again, contingent on the individual who's holding the paper, the degree, the certification, what have you. You go to law school, it's teaching you law, but it's teaching you the fundamentals of law, but it's not teaching you how to practice law. This is what you learn once you get into the role of a lawyer or you get a job. They're going to teach you how to practice law. Same with medicine. You're taught the fundamentals of medicine, but you have to do like the internships, the residencies, because that's where you're going to learn how to practice healthcare, right? So college in itself teaches you the fundamentals or the knowledge and the information that's needed for those particular roles. However, to practice it, you're going to need some type of residency, some type of internship to practice those roles, right? And then even with that, depending on the company that you are working with or for, it will still have some nuances because they may not, I guess when I speak to coding, they may not be on the same practice and management system. That organization may have different policies and procedures on how they do things. So that's another learning curve you're going to have to learn. So the fundamentals of coding are the same throughout, right? The fundamentals, but then you throw in like these payer policies, because the payer policies may differ depending on the region in which you're coding. So, for example, I could be living in Georgia, but I may do some coding in New York. Those policies may change, may be different because I'm not coding for an organization in Georgia. I'm coding for an organization in New York, right? And that's a different region than that of Georgia. So I have to learn the policies and procedures for not only for that organization, right, that I'm coding for, but I also have to learn it for that region, that jurisdiction in which I'm coding. Okay? So again, those are things you have to understand. And so I say all that to say that it's going to be contingent on the person, whether you are good at networking, whether you know how to get the job, right? Are you a good interviewer? Are you a team player? Like, are you a good fit for that team? Again, having a medical coding certification does not guarantee that you are going to be a good fit for a particular team. Again, that's going to be on the person. Again, as an instructor and as a medical coding coach, I cannot guarantee that once you pass your certification exam that you are going to be a good fit for a particular organization, right? Because I don't teach to your personality. I don't teach to your your being. I teach you coding. I teach you the fundamentals of coding. So for me to say, yeah, I can get you a job, I cannot guarantee that to you, because again, I'm only teaching you coding. I'm not teaching you how to be a human, I guess you could say, for lack of a better. I'm not teaching you how to be a human. I'm teaching you how to code. But I will say that when it comes to looking for securing coder roles, you have to know how to network. You have to know how to network. You almost have to become a salesperson, and that's not just with coding. That's with any role that you secure, or you're trying to pursue. You have to almost become a salesperson, right? Sell yourself, sell your skills, sell your qualifications, even like until you get to a point where other people will sell for you, sell you, right? And what I mean by sell you, they can speak to your skill set. They can speak to your knowledge of coding. So until you get to that point, you need to sell your best self. And what I mean by that, so let's say you're coming from a different, I'm going to say a customer service career, and you're entering into medical coding. So when you're pursuing these medical coding roles, or you're applying for these roles, you want to make sure you're selling yourself. So there may be some skills that you picked up in your customer service role that may be applicable to the role, the coding role. For example, you may be good at communication, whether it's be verbal or written. Hey, that's something that can be used in any role, right? The medical coding, customer service, what have you. That is a skill. That is an innate skill. That is something that again, me as an instructor cannot teach you, right? That is something you have, right? Or you picked up from another role. Or you may be good at, let's say, I'm saying selling, right? You have a sales background. Okay, so when you're looking for a coding role, you want to pursue that coding role. You want to make sure you amplify your sales skill, that you can sell things, right? What else is there? You may have discipline. You may have time management skills. Okay, I don't teach you that as a medical coding instructor. I'm teaching you how to code. So, and I will say that with day-to-day coding, productivity is something that is measured. So you want to make sure that you are able to, share that, spotlight it, that you have great time management skills, that you're able to meet productivity. So these are things that an employer may look for in a medical coding professional. Of course, they want to see that you have medical coding credentials as well. So that shows discipline, that you took the time dedicated to study, to take the exam, to pass the exam, and now you discipline yourself to pursue a career or role, right? And so these are things, again, I cannot teach you. Again, I'm speaking from a medical coding instructor perspective, right? And that may be all medical coding instructors. They may be able to teach you the fundamentals of coding, but they may not be able to speak to your other skills. They may not be able to speak to your time management skills. They may not be able to speak to your customer service skills. They may not be able to speak to your verbal and written communication skills. That's something that you may have developed, or you have. Those are your innate, or what the world corporate call it, soft skills. Those are things that you have. Those are soft skills that you develop, right? Not unless I work with you directly and I'm able to observe your skills, that will enable, how can I say it? Based on that, I will be able to speak to your other skills. Like, yes, I work with this person. This person has great time management skills. They were smashing their productivity goals often. So yeah, in that case, yes, I can speak to that. But if I haven't worked with you, I cannot speak to that. However, if you are a student in my program, I can review the data. I can see, like, are you consistently logging on to complete your assignments, to your studies? Are you passing? Are you showing up for office hours? Are you asking questions? Are you getting clarification? Are you showing that you're disciplined, you're dedicated to the cause, right? And if so, yes, I can speak to that, because I see that, yes, this person is really committed to becoming a medical coding professional. And I can see that based upon like the data showing how how active they were in their program in their studies. So these are things that, again, I don't teach that, but it is something that you have, right? And again, and I'm only speaking from my perspective as a coding instructor. I'm not, and this could go for any other coding instructor or any other student. Professor, educator. They can only speak to what they observe outside of what the fundamentals that they're teaching you. So yeah, so like I said, that seems to be the job thing. It seems to be trending right now, and individuals are looking for medical coding training programs to pursue so that they can sit and successfully pass the certification program. There are so many different coding programs out there. Maybe that'll be another episode, like which one is the best, which credentials are the most recognizable, what are employers looking for, the cost of them. So that is something that, again, I said I won't say I can't speak to, but yeah. So whether it be medical coding, whether it be law, whether it be healthcare, whether it be any other industry, that you're trying to study for, when you're learning, you're getting taught the fundamentals of that particular industry or that subject. Once you get out into the real world, that's where the practice actually comes in. And as I mentioned regarding medical coding, it will vary. You will learn on the job. The fundamentals you will know, but you will learn because, again, the organizations have different policies and processes. Perhaps you're doing contract work. You may be residing in a different state and you're doing work for another state. Those policies and payer policies, the guidelines may be slightly different for that particular state, organization in that state that you're coding for, and it may be different from the state that you're residing in. So it will vary. So and pretty much I'm saying all this not to discourage you, but to encourage you to keep an open mind when you're pursuing a medical coding training program, and also when you're trying to pursue a medical coding role. That these are things that you have to take into consideration, right? When you're pursuing either task, that you're learning the fundamentals. They're teaching you the fundamentals, and then secondly, when you're looking for a job, your coding program is teaching you the fundamentals of coding. They're not teaching you like people skills, your soft skills. So that's all that I have for this coding break. But again, I want you to keep those perspectives in mind when you're trying to figure out or determine which medical coding program you want to pursue, as well as when you're trying to look for a coding role. So that's all that I have for this coding break. Again, if you have anything that you would like me to share or talk or shed light on as it relates to the medical coding industry, feel free to shoot me a DM, an email, or comment on this podcast episode. So that's all that I have for this time. So until the next coding break, remember to code on. Until next time, toodles.